Hello, everybody. Welcome in. I've got two stands up here as a special co-host, and I'm so excited about that.
Well,
Hello,
I am
everybody.
excited too, Brenda.
Wait just a minute. I've got two stands up here as a special co-host. There we go. I got a second device and forgot to turn the volume down.
Do you know I do that at least 2 times a week.
Yes, I'm still a rookie, so I forget stuff, but I'm getting it all. How's your week been? You had a good week?
Ups and downs, but all in all, hey, I'm still here. I'm able to come up live, so it's been a great week.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. Well, I was just going to kind of just talk to people and kind of let everybody know exactly, what the show is going to be about pushing forward and just give some fish basics, just some simple stuff that maybe
There
kids
you
have
go.
questions. And I just wanted to kind of be their Google and let them ask. And, if they have any questions, they can definitely enter them in the chat. So that way, we're just going to cover the fish basics first, and then we're going to go from there.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
So the first thing that I've got here is that in the ocean, there are 32,000 different species of fish.
Ooh.
There's a ton of different fish in the ocean, lots and lots. So that's why when you go ocean fishing, you never know what you're going to pull up. You may be surprised. Hey, Sogo,
This,
welcome in.
this is true. This is true. Sogo, what's up?
So glad you came in. And it's greater than the number of mammals, reptiles, birds, and amphibians combined.
That's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah, when you think about it. Hey, Dale, welcome in. When you think about it, that is a lot of fish. So it's no wonder that our fisheries are so plentiful, right? In the ocean.
That is some astonishing numbers. I knew that was a crazy amount, but I had no idea that it was that high of numbers, and that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Hey, Jody, welcome in. Drive safe. I'll see you in a little while. So, and another thing is, I heard on a live last night. It was on actually on DocTales, and I was listening, and someone had asked, "Are fish a mammal? Or are they an animal, or what are they?" And there was a discussion about it. And so I thought I'd clear that up. Hey, Chris Everett. Hey, 351 Cleveland. Hey, James Kirkpatrick. welcome in, guys.
Look at that. They're flying in now, Cos. Flying in. Up to 6 people watching now.
Woohoo!
Just
I
take a
like
minute. They're coming.
it. It takes a minute to get those notifications for sure. But fish are cold-blooded, like reptiles and amphibians. They can't control their body temperature. And because of that, they're animals and not mammals. So anytime you think about fish, just know that they are cold. They're freezing. It's no wonder that the fish that we fish for all the time move up in the shallows in the cold areas of months of the year.
you know,
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that was one of the things I've learned from talking with Epic is you've learned these little things, and you can actually, fish are instinctual. They react, so they know that going up in that shallow water when it's light out, it's going to warm their body. They just know it instinctually. They don't have to think, well, it might be a sunny day. Bob, did you get the weather forecast for tomorrow? Yeah, it might be. No, the sun's out. They know to move up to that shallow water. So, and that's why because it does. They can't regulate their body temperature on their own. That's why when you hear in the sometimes with the fish will be deep buried in the mud because it's so cold, and the winter time where it's really the dark winters and there's not a lot of sun and you see them down in the mud and different things. It's because they're reacting just like what Kaz was saying, they can't regulate their body temperatures, and a lot of that is why they move to things and places that they move to. Good point. That was awesome.
Absolutely. We had Lizabella come in and off the res. Welcome, guys. 351 Cleveland. Welcome in. I appreciate you guys coming by. I was just kind of I give a couple of Little Fish basic facts, but I just kind of wanted to let you guys know that the show, you know, I'm interested in any new angler. It doesn't matter if, you know, they've never fished before, if they're relatively new and they, you know, they need help, if they've got a kid. You know, I am more than encouraging kids to fish. And sometimes if we can just learn some basics, you know, it's not a big of a task to take them to the lake and catch a few bluegills. So, you know, and you may learn some stuff that you didn't know, even if you're experienced anglers. So I definitely want to, you know, welcome everybody. I try to get the show at a good time to where kids were still awake. It wasn't too late for them to be asleep. And maybe it might be a family thing or, you know, something that they did together. And that way, if there's questions that I don't answer, then their parents can help answer them or whomever they're sitting with. So
we have some more awesome people come in. There's Fishing and Freedom out there. Grace Family Fishing. What's up, Grace? I think that what you said, res before. I think we're caught up with that.
Perfect. Thank you, Stan.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
But yeah, I just want to, you know, I just want this to be a kid friendly, you know, just a basic class starting out with, you know, catching bluegill and then advancing from there, because sometimes bluegill's all a kid might want to catch. That may just tickle them to death and may be the best fish in the world. So
that's, you know what, for 99.999% of America, especially inland America, if you're not living right on the salt water, I think that's how most of us started, was that bluegill, perch, crappie, them little panfish. And we just got addicted to that. And I know that's how I started and just kept. I started so long ago, Kaz, I don't even remember how I started, but but I know I got.
The first time I went fishing, but I definitely went fishing a lot.
I caught that fishing bug, and it's been with me ever since. And for those of you that are going further in the show, I'm going to be Kaz's guest co-host for a little while, helping her get things going off the ground. In the future, it'll probably change, but for now, you can expect to see this. Don't you know? Just because you're going to see this face on Thursdays, make sure you still tune in, because Kaz is going to be the beauty of the show. So you still want everybody showing up.
Oh yeah, that's sweet, Stan. Thank you. I see Tom came in. Hey Tom, welcome in. So glad you came by. But okay, so next fish fact. Fish have a great sense of taste, sight, and touch. So, you know, kind of like different animals, whether they have hair grown over their eyes or whether they're missing an eye or whether they have a handicapped or anything, their senses will adjust and they can use their other senses just like we do. And I think that's really cool to know. Of course, we know taste because of catfish. But, you know, even the small panfish can taste and can see really well. And that's why when the water's clear, they can see our lines and sometimes get spooked because they can actually see the tackle that we're using instead of just the bait. So,
and do you know which fish, trying to see how I can word this because I didn't actually think of it till now, but as far as the sense of smell and taste, you know, which fish have the better sense of that? Ones with scales or ones without?
That's a great question. What's the answer?
Without, because the skin has sensory organs all over the skin, where the scales block a lot of that. So this, that's why catfish are so great at sensing things, is because it's all down the skin, whereas the scaled fish don't have that.
Well, that's amazing. And one of my facts was, why do fish have scales? And they have them for several reasons. They protect a fish's skin from predators, parasites, and injuries. So little bugs in the water, or if they, get injured by another fish, they're there to protect the fish. So that way, it's hard to put a hook through the skin of a fish, and that's because of those scales, and they keep, all the stuff out. It's like a little bubble around them. And they serve as a hydrodynamic purpose. In other words, it makes it easier for this fish to swim, because it streamlines them, and it helps them cut a path through the water. Not all scales look the same. Like the scales on one fish may be a different shape than the other on a different fish. So not all scales are the same. And not all fish have scales, just like you were talking about the catfish. Not all of them have scales. Catfish do not have scales. So, and then they have their spines. They have the things that people are afraid of, and kids, I think, whenever they handle fish, well, besides they're wiggly, is that, they've got these sharp little fins that can poke you and stick you. But those are there to help protect it as well. And that's a part of its defense system. So, I think that's really cool about why they have scales, and that there's so many different varieties as well as so many different species of fish.
We had Chad came in. What's up, Chad? I think we said hello to Fishing and Freedom already. Brokeback Bob. We're up to 10 awesome people watching. Thank you, everybody. And I thought that was awesome what you brought up about the scales. And I know I get joked about, it's a big joke. We have a lot of fun with it. But the scales on a sturgeon, they're extremely bony, it's like an armored tank. They're
Really?
so just hard. And on top of that, on top of the back, they've got bony structure for protection. I think they're called skulls or schools, something like that. SCHULES, and they go along the top of the back, and they're really bony, really super hard. So, and they use that for protection.
Yeah, they look like it looks like a dinosaur back on them. As you think about it, it looks exactly like that. Is that what it feels like? You would think it would feel?
Yes, exactly. And you know what? A lot of, you talk about, if you look at that fish, and that's just a small one. That's not even a big. Well, I shouldn't say small. It's approaching medium size, because they get up to 20 feet long. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the where you see sea serpents or the monsters of the lake kind of thing, I think a lot of those are fish like the sturgeon, where it's got you can see across. I don't know if you can see it, but you see how it's like.
Give me just a minute. Let me put you on full screen here. Let's see. Let me see. I don't know what I'm doing, guys. Give me just.
You can just touch my picture and drag it over towards yours, and we'll just switch places. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Now all you got to do is touch my picture and hit solo layout, and that would do it. But I was just going to say, you can see where the bones across the top of the back it makes bumps. And when a lot of those sea monster stories that you hear, they saw all these bumps coming out of the water. So you picture that fish, 2.5 times that size or 3 times that size. You can imagine what that would look like, that back of it sticking out of the water. So I think a lot of those, sea monster reports are fish like the sturgeon.
I watched a video a couple days ago about a guy, and he caught I want to say it was a 600-pound sturgeon. It was huge. I mean, oh my goodness. It was huge. Huge. But yeah, they're amazing fish, and you'll never get a hard time about talking about your sturgeon on my channel. Now in chat, I can't do anything about that, but you can always talk about it.
Well, that's all right. For that purpose there, I use that for scientific teaching purposes. So.
Absolutely. So, do you know what the largest fish is? in our
Large
ocean?
fish. I should know this. I'm not sure if it's the grouper.
No.
How about in chat? We got 10 people watching out in chat. In chat, does anybody want to throw a guess out there to the largest saltwater fish?
No Googling.
Everybody out there, I'm watching 5 different shows on my 6th device. What is the largest?
No. We all do that so much. And also, I've got the smallest fish. And I'll give you a hint on that one. That one lives in the Philippines.
Fish and Freedom is saying whale shark. Jody's saying swordfish. We got another LG Bass with a second whale shark. Bob with the big-eyed tuna. We got Boo Rocka in the house. How's it going, Boo?
Well, the answer is a whale shark. So Tom and Fishing and Freedom had it right. It's a whale shark.
Good job.
Absolutely. Hey, Dallas. The smallest fish is a Philippine goby, and it is as big as your pinky nail. It's teeny, teeny, tiny. So I thought that was really, something cool. I know kids always want to know, well, what's the biggest? What's the biggest? Yeah. That's the biggest one. And do you know how fish communicate? Does anybody know how they communicate? Because a lot of times we don't think that they do communicate. They're just swimming along and doing their own thing, and we never hear it. Of course, we hear catfish grunt, but most fish don't make noise. So does anybody know how they
Well, there's a lot of debate, like with sturgeon. They totally clear the water. Their entire body jumps up out of the water, and they say that they're actually doing that as a sign of communication. They don't have any scientific proof. They're doing studies with that now, but I know they're doing the same thing, like with dolphins and things like that, where they're actually seeing if that's how they're actually, nonverbal communication is the swimming motions and jumping up out of the water and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought it was real interesting. I did that one. I looked up several places and kind of came with a consensus on what the answer would be, depending upon what I saw. And basically, they use acoustic signals. And normally when they are making noise or making those acoustic signals, they're doing it because of either feeding, aggression, or they're mad, or they're trying to get a girlfriend or boyfriend, and they use that. So those are the 3 main ways that fish use acoustic signals to speak to other fish. I thought that was really cool. And I also know I've heard Epic talk about catfish, of how small a catfish brain is, and different things. All fish have smaller brains relative to their body size compared to any other animals. So they definitely have smaller brains. They get in the swing of things and they do it, but they're not figuring out too much, I don't believe.
Pontoon Jody said, I've seen sturgeon break the water here. Scared the crap out of her. She thought it was a mermaid the first time she saw it.
Heck, we all know I caught that spoonbill, and I know what the heck it was. I was like, what in the world is this?
That's a crazy fish. Crazy. Yeah.
Barracuda gar. We was calling it everything, but I had no idea. She ended up knowing. I still wouldn't. I would if I looked it up. But she helped me out on that one after we figured it out there. But it was really funny. It was really funny. And okay, so the next one is, how many species of fish are threatened of extinction right now? In other words, they may go away and never come back.
That is another good question. I know it's more than you would think, and a lot of the time we don't think about that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is their breeding waters being bothered and stick nose fish.
Yeah, absolutely. More than 1,000 species of fish right now are threatened of extinction. So we're about to lose 1,000 species of our fish right now. And that doesn't mean there won't be any added next week. That just
Right.
means right now. So that's a lot of species of fish that we don't want to lose. And fish are also, we were talking about their body structure, their vertebrae or their backbone, their spine. They're called vertebrae, but it's because they're an animal with a backbone. And that's how they're classified. So they're vertebrate animals. So I thought that was really cool. It kind of gives another, distinction to it. And so I just, I found these facts so interesting because I'll be honest, some of these I had no idea. And I've learned, I've learned now, and I think it's really interesting. And so how do
very
fish breathe? Yeah. So do you know how fish breathe?
How fish breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Another good question. Just from a guess, obviously you got the gills, and
Mm-hmm.
they suck the oxygen through the water through the gills and pull the oxygen out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually one of the ways my father used to tell how the fish were doing. And if he was buying other fish and whatnot, if you checked the gills and they stayed red, that was a sign of a fresh fish. And if those gills were like a light pink or white, or that meant that they've been haven't been treated the best, we'll just say. So that was I know it's through the gills, so that's going to be my answer.
Well, and you're right on that. You're right on that. They take in oxygen, and just like us, when we breathe in and breathe out, we
That's
take
right.
in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide, and they do too. They do the same thing, except they collect it from the water instead of from the air. As a fish opens its mouth, water runs over its gills that you were talking about. That's packed with a lot of blood vessels, which is probably why those gills stay more red or less, the redder the fresher, because there is a lot of blood vessels there. And they pick up the oxygen in the water and move it from there to the rest of their body. So they basically breathe just like us, but they do it underwater instead of in air. And I thought that was really cool. Let's see. We had a couple people come in. Let's see. Brad Cottle came in, and or Cadell. I don't know. Steve Mosley came in. Thank you guys for coming in. We're just learning about fish basics and going over some trivia questions. It might be fun to, share with your kids and see if they know the answers, and get them involved. So that way, or somebody that's never fished before. That way they've got a good basis of knowledge whenever they start. So I think that's really cool. So what do fish eat, Stan? Do you know? We know what catfish eat, but what do most fish eat?
Well, most fish, I believe most fish eat they all eat other living organisms, whether it be seaweed or the plankton or little crustaceans or other fish or et cetera, et cetera.
That's exactly right. So plant matter, small organisms like worms or crustaceans, other fish, are algae. So everything that you said, you hit it right on hit that nail on the head. That's exactly right. That's what they feed on. And depending on what species,
Like I'm on
depending
hot
on what
seat.
species, yeah, it depends on what they eat. So, and this is a question for chat. Where does caviar come from? You might know this one, Stan.
Yeah, yeah, I've done a little studying myself. Brad said they eat chicken only. And for everybody just starting out fishing, that's one of the what Kaz was just talking about is with what fish are eating. While we're waiting on them to answer the while waiting on them to answer your question. Gosh darn it. I lost my train of thought there for a second. I was reading and
That's okay. I do that all the time. You just let me know when you're.
What were we just?
Get back to it.
You were asking about the sturgeon eggs. Oh, that's it. For you, if you're just starting out fishing and you're wondering, man, I'm not catching or I'm not doing this or that. Fish in nature, especially freshwater fish that we're fishing for, but even saltwater fish, if you saltwater fish, what you're going to catch the majority of fish on is what they eat naturally. So if you're going out there, I'm not saying that strawberry chicken and all that stuff doesn't work, because it does, but 9 times out of 10, whatever they're used to eating. So if they're in a pond that's filled with bluegills and that's the main forage, well, guess what? Your best bait is probably going to be bluegill. If they're in like the James River here, we have gizzard shad year round. It's the primary forage fish. So some of the biggest fish and the most fish are caught on gizzard shad. Up in the Potomac, you see them catch a lot on eel. And American eel is really, really prevalent. That is a fish. The eel is in those waters. They come from the saltwater up into the Potomac River. So there is this year, as a matter of fact, they captured more eel in 2021 than any other year that they had tested. So that's why you see so many fish being caught on eel in the Potomac River. So just a little tip: if you can, get the bait and use the bait that fish are eating in those waters. That's why I like night crawlers for sunfish. That's what they eat. The worms that come off the bank. Sunfish are a lot of times when they're bedding, think about it, they're up closer to the shore. Worms is one of the things they eat, so that's why it's so great for panfish. So, but and that all goes down to learning what fish eat, and you can translate that over into catching more fish for sure.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I catch a lot of fish on chicken, and if I'm catching it, I'm going to use it, but I still always have something that's in my waters, either skip or something that's in those waters out as well. I always do that because you just, you never know. And sometimes they want something different and sometimes they don't. So.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. We welcomed in Grace Family Fishing, didn't we?
We sure did, but we'll welcome and say hello to Grace again. Him and his son Devin are awesome. Tim Molina's out there.
Hey, Tim. Down East Tackle came in.
What's up, Down East?
Yeah. Love it.
Ooh.
All right. So they were right in the chat. Caviar does come from eggs from the sturgeon family. So I thought that was really, really cool when I read that. And I thought, oh, Stan's going to love that one. That's a good one. I've got him on here. I love it. So one thing that I found really interesting is, how do fish swim?
Well,
I think this is really cool.
Again, I'm going to say by contrasting muscle movements down across their backbone, they swing their tail back and forth, which propels them forward with muscle movement.
That's exactly right. They'll flex on one side and relax on the other side. And whenever I was reading it, I was thinking how a snake slithers, how they move their muscles and move across the ground. And fish kind of do the same thing with their muscles. They use that, but their tail ends up swimming them, which of course makes them different from snakes. But I just thought that was really cool how the muscle movement works, how they relax on one side and then, tense up on the other to get that tail to swing. So, yeah, I thought that was a really cool fact. And it helps push them through the water. So, but
That's
yeah, I
great.
thought that was really cool. What were you going to say, Stan?
No, I was just saying, Grace said, hope that my wife had a happy birthday. And yes, she did. Thank you. And yeah, I think it's awesome. I love doing these kind of things. Like when I caught the S-word fish, the sturgeon, I did kind of do a lot of research into it because it was pretty cool. That fish is just making a resurgent back in the river. And there's whole kinds of, the only reason they're coming back is because there's all these rescue efforts and to try to get the numbers, the Atlantic sturgeon numbers back up and et cetera, et cetera. So I know all kinds of stuff about that, but I thought it was interesting. And, actually catching one, that's what made me go look into it. And without the sturgeon, our country may not be the country that we are today. People don't realize it, but it's crazy how important sturgeon was as a food source to the earliest settlers in this country. Amazing.
100%. Yeah, 100%. No doubt about it. Because I didn't realize when I caught that spoonbill that it was an ancient fish. Like, it's not the sturgeon by any means to stretch of the imagination, but it's still an ancient fish that's been around for a long time. And I thought that was really cool. It's like catching a dinosaur.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. And okay, so the next one is, why do fish swim in schools?
To get smarter. That's one of my dad's jokes.
Love that. So,
I'm pretty sure.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one too.
Okay, give it to me.
It is for protection, because just like animals herd together to keep bigger predators away, fish kind of do the same thing. They make themselves school up together to make a bigger presentation to the to predators to keep them away.
That's absolutely correct. It's a defense mechanism against predators. So it definitely helps the, instead of them getting the whole lot, get the outside ones if they're being chased.
Let's see.
It helps them save energy.
Tim Molina has that out there. He said for protection and to hunt.
That's right. It helps them save energy when they all swim together. And the larger the group, the easier it is for them to find and share food. So they do it for the 3 different reasons: defense, energy, and easier to find food that way. So I thought that was cool. And so, yeah. Hey, Dallas. Hey, Annette. Annette came in. Hey, Pork Chop. Welcome in, guys. We're just going to do some fish trivia. Just trying to lay the basics out. If you've got anybody that, wants to learn about just the basics of fish, send them over and watch the video. Maybe they'll find something interesting in it.
And I wonder if a lot of times that isn't why you'll see, like, let's say we'll just use catfish, for example. You start catching, you see people catch a bunch of catfish. Well, they'll catch a bunch of smaller eater size or whatever schooled up together. Well, you get into one, sometimes you might get 2, maybe even 3 big catfish together. But when you're talking schools, there might be, a lot of times it's the smaller fish that are schooled together more than the bigger fish. Interesting. I wonder.
Yeah, that actually is a very valid, that actually makes perfect sense. Because they do. And I've seen exactly what you're saying. The smaller ones will stack up with, channels, especially around here. But yeah. That's cool.
Tim Molina has a question for us. What came first, the fish or the egg?
Isn't that the question of the day? I think the egg. I don't know though, the fish. I don't know. Who knows? It's a mystery.
Hey, Fox, how you doing?
Hey, Jay Fox, how are you, bud? Welcome in. All right, so How many taste buds does a catfish have? Chat, does anybody know this?
Oh, I've heard Epic, excuse me, I've heard Epic say it a bunch of times, and it's just, it's flying over my head right now. Maybe somebody in chat can remember.
Yeah.
Taste buds on a catfish.
Mm-hmm.
And this does go back to when we were talking about skinless or scaleless fish versus fish with just the skin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things with that. While we're waiting on them to answer, how many taste buds does a catfish have? A lot of times, that's why you'll see you mentioned that the skin, the scales are to protect the skin. Well, with the skin, the scaleless fish like catfish, you'll notice a lot of times they'll have more slime on them. They'll have a bigger slime coat because they don't have the scales on the outside to protect it. So that slime coat is what protects their skin from a lot of the other things that you were talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
And
love
then
this.
when you pull the cat, oh, I'm sorry. Then you pull them in and they've got marks all over them and scars. And you don't see that necessarily on bluegill and on scaled fish.
There you go.
So
Tim Molina is saying their whole body is a taste bud.
that's true. That's true. To one fish or the other, there's definitely true.
Let me see. I'm trying to remember. I'm thinking it is. I know it's thousands and thousands of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember if he said it's as much as 100,000.
No, it's under 100,000.
I know it's a huge number. I was like, holy smokes! I can't believe it. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Anybody got any guesses in chat? That was a hard one because I didn't know it either. That's something else I didn't know. One neat thing about it is they have 20,000 more taste buds than we do as humans.
How many taste buds does the human?
Right. All right. I don't see anybody's jumping in. So it's more than 27,000 taste buds.
That's crazy.
Which means that we have about 7,000 taste buds. So it's no wonder that they can taste good and they have their preferences and all of that. But just because of that alone. So I thought that was really cool. And the next one is, why are fish so important to our lives and to our waters? Anybody in chat want to throw something in?
Tim Lena said, did Epic count them?
Yes, Epic did. I'll answer that question for him. He definitely did, Tim.
That is a good question. And we'll give chat a chance to answer that. I'm pretty sure I know some of the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Why are fish so important to the water? William Warner Pork Chops out there, how's it going?
Hey, Pork Chop. I've got a lot of respect for Pork Chop. I like that guy. He's all right with me. I like it. The ramp, I'm gonna unload fish. Call me 5 minutes before you get here. Okay, Jody, I will. Me and Jody's getting ready to fish tonight, like we do on Thursday night. So after the show's over, here in about 20 minutes, I'm gonna load up and head on out.
Awesome. Fishing and Freedom said they are important for the food chain, water quality, etc. Tim Molina said food source. Dallas says because they're delicious.
Absolutely. Well, the first one is they are a food source for people. They fed people many years before, other things. So they are a food source and an important one. They help protect the waters that they live in. They provide jobs for people. And Don R, he can answer that one. He works up with the fish, and the respawning and getting all of them back out. So that's just as critical. And then they provide cultural benefits because different cultures around the world develop different traditions or things to do that was all around the fish. That was, the fish was the king of the hill. And it's important culturally as well.
And what you were saying about protecting the waters is just amazing. Some of the facts, if you actually people look into it, the shellfish such as clams, mussels, oysters, those type of things, they filter the water that's coming. One mussel filters, I don't know how many gallons of water a day, just one mussel. So think a mussel bed has thousands of mussels on it. So that's thousands and thousands of gallons of water that gets filtered just from that one mussel bed. That's why there's programs in a lot of different waters where they're introducing things like mussel and clam beds. Number one, because it's another food source, but they help filter the water, clean the water. Things like sharks and the predator and scavenger fish like that keep all the other population control with the predators, and scavengers keeping the other fish that have met their maker, and they keep all that cleaned up. So it's just amazing how, without the fish themselves, how our water that we rely on would be much, much worse than it is. So it's just interesting if you look into how fish themselves actually clean their own waters.
Absolutely. And they're sucker fish, and there's things that clean the bottom. We know catfish are bottom dwellers, but there are all kinds of species of fish that just do nothing but clean the water and live off of that algae and the things that they clean up. So absolutely, they are really important. They're really important. And all right, so my last tip, or my last question for today, is going to be, what is the annual catch limit and why is it important? Because whenever we go fish, we don't want to just fish in waste and leave it laying there dead. If we can put it back, we should put it back. If we're going to keep it to eat, keep it to eat. Nothing wrong with that, but that's why there's limits. And so, and it is very important, but why is it important?
You're talking for any species in general?
For any species in general.
I'm pretty sure I know this one, but we'll give chat a chance to answer out there.
Yeah.
Because
we'll see if it can
that's one thing with technology. We're almost there. But it's just not. There's always that little delay. So by the time someone like me is out there trying to type the answer in, and then this gets behind, and that Fishing and Freedom says to not overharvest to sustain the species. Dallas is saying conservation and protection of the species. And I'm going to just add to that and say that that's all correct. And they use that. They'll do that's why you're supposed to, report harvests, especially with like commercial fishermen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they do the fish counts where they'll do like electrofishing for X amount of water. They see how many fish they have and they multiply that out. And they track that every year to see if the populations are going up or down, so they can adjust. Okay, well, if we're really overpopulated, we can just open it up a little bit, and people can catch more fish, harvest more fish, and keep the numbers in control. And but yeah, I think that's awesome. That's why I think it's real important that we follow. We may not always agree with the biologist and the things like that, but I really feel it's important that we know what they are and try to follow them to the best that we can.
Absolutely. And we want to teach new anglers, kids from the beginning that, it's important to follow these things. And this is why, because the annual catch limit was put into place so fishermen don't catch more fish than is sustainable for that species. And I know I've seen several videos of where they go and they use the shockers and pull them up and check. They were actually showing that it was sturgeons. It was around here they were doing it. A while back they released, they started a repopulation program here, and now the fish they're finally at the age now, all the ones that were released, where they can start having babies and spawning, because it takes them a while. They don't just spawn after a short period of time.
Well, and that's a good point that you brought up there. A lot of people think, oh, the fish come out and bam, they're spawning. No. Like a catfish, for example, takes up to 8 years for the average blue cat to reach sexual maturity where they're actually breeding. 8 years. So if you start, thinking, they're catfish, we can keep or do whatever we want. We can throw them on the bank. It will catch up to it. It takes 8 years. So by the time it does get up into that range, and we start keeping those bigger fish, and that's where a lot of times where you say put the bigger ones back, because they have the best. Number one, they're the breeding size fish. Number two, they have the best genes in the waters, because obviously they've already grown to that size. So that's what's in their gene pool. So if you take them out and only keep releasing small ones, well, eventually the small ones are what's breeding. And eventually you'll see, that's why you'll see a lot of times, like with ponds that just get overstocked with sunfish, because there's nothing to take them out of the water. And every sunfish in that pond all of a sudden is like 3 inches long. That's part of it.
Yeah, and it's very important for you not to to obey the annual catch limit, but it's an ebb and flow. We definitely want to teach everybody that we want to follow it, but like you said, it will change from one year to the next, because maybe something has gotten overpopulated. I know in the lake here, catfish are, speaking of catfish, they are there's not a ton of them in Fort Loudon anymore. There's still a few, there's still some out there, but normally you can't get to those fish unless you can get out on the water. They just don't come in where there's places to bank fish. I have one path that I get and I catch a few there, but it's not like I can go there and get on fire and catch 4 or 5. That just would never happen in my lake. And I know that when I fish with Jody's caught plenty of fish in one night, and I'm like, I can't. Like, I could sit and pull bluegill all night and crappie, but when it comes to catfish, the numbers are not there like they should be. And I really hope that around here they start putting some sort of protection on them, so that way we don't lose them, because we've got some beautiful big fish that are definitely spawning size, but they need I wish people, like you said, would let them go and let them populate, so we've got more fish for our kids and for our grandkids to catch. And I know when I was at CatCon, I was walking around and I was kind of giving a tour of everything when I did my live. And I walked up to the kids where the jumpy house was, right there in front of the cafeteria. And I said, just look at these kids, guys. I said, one of these is gonna catch a huge PB one day. One of these kids are gonna catch one, and that's what it's for. So yeah, I just loved it. I loved CatCon. I loved meeting everybody. It was so much fun.
Unbelievable. Yes, it was.
It was
guys, I can't tell you how important that next generation and making things better for them is for me. Obviously, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grandkids, and now another one about to be having another little grandbaby coming up here real soon. Tanya, how's it going? But like both my granddaughters, they've already got 30-pound catfish already. Their PBs are up in the 30s. Tiny Smith, she loves going down and fishing saltwater. She ties her own jig on and picks the color she wants, and she'll sit there in the water and just cast and reel, and she does all that herself. And the 2 twin boys. We just now got 4-year-old twin boy grandsons. So we've been taking Stand 3, took them on their first fishing trip. So now they've got they've both caught catfish and trout and bass already, and so they're moving up on their way. So that to me, that's some of the most important things we can do as sportsmen is teach that next generation the right way. So big shout out to you.
Absolutely. Well, we just got to, everybody knows it, and it is hard. I mean, I know I was talking to Elizabella and James the last show, and I mean, we love to fish as fishermen, and we go out, and I think it's harder for us that know how to fish for the different species than it is for somebody new to take somebody new, because you're going to get hung up. You're going to be retying rigs. You're going to be doing all of that stuff. And we, I think as adults, sometimes we get a little frustrated, and it's easy to do. I mean, heck, it's easy to happen, but we just got to know, we got to make it fun for them. We've got to make them want to go back. I mean, you never know. Fishing may be what keeps them out of trouble when they're a teenager. If we can instill that and just get them outdoors. Everything is on the computer or on a phone now, and there's it doesn't matter where you're at, you're still sucked into that same electronic device, which it's good to get out and set that aside and take a breath and enjoy yourself. So
yeah, one of the things that if it's a younger person that you're taking out for the first time, pretty much don't count on fishing yourself. Just you're going out there to teach. Maybe you'll teach them how to cast their pole, or but you're not really don't plan on fishing yourself. They're a little bit older. You can kind of, maybe you'll fish a little bit just to kind of help them out. But that's pretty much even when I go out with somebody around here that already knows how to fish, but we're maybe looking for a bigger fish. I don't plan on fishing. I might bring one pole for myself, and even then I don't usually reel it in. So that's what you look at, is you're not there fishing, you're there teaching. So
right, exactly. And it's hard for some of us to put it aside and do it, but just think, I mean, you keep taking them and you encourage them, and feed them good and make sure that they're happy and having fun, and only give them the fun experience. I know when I was younger, my father would get extremely frustrated with me every time I went fishing. And he would cuss and everything. He would just lose it. And I'm like, as a kid, I was like, I don't understand. Why is he getting so mad? He asked me to come fishing. And I mean, it's easy to do. It is, because it's frustrating. But you're right. We just got to, when we're bringing new angles, it doesn't matter if it's a grown woman or a grown man or whomever. The first few times they go fishing, they're going to mess up a ton. Mm-hmm. And that is perfectly okay. So I wanted to do a giveaway tonight. We got about 6 minutes left. So I'm going to try to do a giveaway. I'm going to try to do one every week on the show. And I'm going to, what I've got this week is a creek and pond fishing kit. It's a 50-piece set, and it's got little jig and jig heads and a bobber. And it's just something that a kid that's never fished, or a person that's never fished, it'll just be something to get their tackle box started. And yeah.
Kaz, there you go. There's your first comment back from Fishing and Freedom. Says, cool idea for a show, Kaz. Love it. And good co-host. Well, thank you very much. He looks forward for more to come.
Thank you.
And the idea that Kaz has, when Kaz was talking about the giveaways, the idea that she was having for that, what she really wants to do is get younger people coming into the show and doing the giveaways for them, or just a newer person to fishing that really hasn't had access to fishing, doesn't have maybe the equipment, and maybe some of the equipment that she might give away in a giveaway to help that person get out there. That's kind of the idea of where she's trying to go moving forward with with the giveaways and stuff. And I thought that was just an awesome idea.
Absolutely. So, on this, I mean, like Stan just said, if you've got a kid that's wanting to go fishing or you want to take, you're more than welcome to enter. Like I'm just, I want to definitely give the kids something to be excited about and something to look forward to every week. I want to try to send out as many kids prizes as I possibly can. And I've got the tackle set this week. And now next week, we're going to be going over how to put line on the reel. Because we all know we can buy one at Walmart and it's got line on it, but what do you do when the line runs out? How do you fix that? And that's something that's very important for somebody if they've never fished, how to use their equipment. And after that, this is so cool. It's got a star guard just like ours do. It's got it's a miniature of our reels of baitcaster. So I just thought it was really cool. And it's actually a Shakespeare Ugly Stick Junior. So it's a shorter rod. It's definitely for kids. Or if you're doing dock fishing, it's great for that as well. But I'll be giving the fishing rod away next week. So that'll be our prize next week. But for this week, I'm going to try and Miss Becca said that she would help me with the giveaway tool. I don't know how to do it yet. But I figured we could just enter numbers. Let's see, how many do we have in here? 14. So I guess anybody that wants in, or like I said, if you've got anybody that needs some of these things, go ahead and enter your numbers. And let me write mine down. Give me just a second.
So we're going between what, 1 and 100?
Let's don't make it that big since we've just got 14. Maybe 1 through 30.
Okay, and how are you doing it? Are you going to do it where it's the closest without going over, or the first person to get the number exact? Which way are you doing it?
Let's see. Well, we'll see who gets the closest without going over.
Okay, one guess, closest without going over. The first one to put it in case there's a tie, whoever put it in first, that's the winner.
Perfect.
Between 1 and 30, you said?
Yes.
Okay, I guess we'll start now.
Go.
Got the numbers coming in already. I see a 14. I see a 15. And another thing with putting the line on is those reels, sometimes the line will get stuck up underneath the reel itself, and you got to take the thing off and get the line back out. So that's, with that type of reel, that's an important thing to learn too.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And that's kind of before I give away the rod. Why I had it here, and I had a reel that I could show. I want to definitely show that before we send it out, and that'll be a great little 10-15 minute lesson. It's not like it'll take a long time, but if somebody has the confidence just for the basics, and hopefully it'll make them want to fish more. So fingers crossed.
Okay, so we got between 1 and 30, closest without going over. Get your numbers in. 2, 3. We got 8 guesses so far. We had some more awesome people come in. There's Quiet Man Curtis. J Fox Hunter's been out there. Same Old Man Outdoors. How you doing? Annette Morgan's out there. We said hello to Tanya. Dominic Hollis. I don't know if you got Dominic's comment up there before, but he said, Kaz, I'm not mad at you anymore because I forgot to subscribe to you too.
Oh,
he said, but I fixed it. I'm now.
I love it. Well, yeah, when I started the show, I just kind of looked at my thing, and I'm at 186, so I'm almost to 200.
Woo!
Almost. All right, everybody, put your guesses in. We're getting ready to call it.
Okay, there's another gas. Dale says 24.
Let's see. So while we're waiting on the numbers to come in, what do you got planned this next week? You going fishing any?
Well, yeah, I never know when I'm going fishing, but I almost always am going to try to get out there on stand day morning, on Sunday mornings. We were supposed to fish in an actual live tournament here on Saturday, but I believe it got postponed. So we were supposed to be fishing in an actual live catfish tournament here on the James, but I believe that got canceled. Tomorrow's Friday. I was going to try to go out, but I don't know if I'll be out tomorrow. But this time of year, we have that, we were talking about different fish. We have that migration run, the breeding run that happens this time of the year. So hickory shad, American shad, river herring, stripers, white perch, they all come up the river from saltwater. And right above Richmond is as far up the James River as they can go. There's a fall system. So that's the fall line, and that's as far as it goes. From that point down is all tidal, so they can only make it up to there, and so they kind of pool up a lot through there. So this time, and that's like 10 minutes from my house. So this time of year, you try to get out there every single day that you possibly can. So you never know when I'm going to be fishing.
100%. Yeah, we're getting ready to have a striper run here. They run, and it's fun when you've got a boat because you can chase the schools of them, and you can just pull 15, 20 real fast, and then you run to another school. They're so fun. So fun. Okay. All right. I think that we've gotten all the numbers in. And our winner is Miss Tanya Hollis, the Queen of Catfishing. My number was 23. And she was the closest without going over. So congratulations, Tanya. I know you take your grandson fishing, so I'm really happy that you won that. That's fantastic. And you can email me at catfishingwithcost@gmail.com. And just tell me you won the giveaway and your address, and I'll go ahead and get that out to you here in the next couple days.
And man, next week giving away a rod. So if you've got anybody out there's got any younger people, or have them check into the show next week, share Kaz's link out. On top of that, she wants to get to 200. That'd be great. I'm sure she'll be over 200 by next week. But she wants to bring some newer people in. So if you know anybody out there that's looking to learn some of this kind of information, this is the place to do it. Have them check out Kaz. Make sure you share this thing out, share her link out. Get them coming in on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. And you'll be seeing me here for a few weeks, so we'll see what's going on. But had a blast tonight, Kaz. I enjoyed myself, learned something. So what more can you ask for?
Hey, well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for co-hosting with me. Just
that's wonderful.
And I'm glad everybody is liking the concept. And we will, like I said, like you said, we'll be giving that rod away next week. And then, who knows about the next week? We just never know.
No.
But I just got a notification that the bait shop came on about 4 minutes ago, so I don't want to intrude on their time. So we're going to go ahead and jump off of here. Any last words, Stan?
No. Thank you, everybody. I think we were up to 15 or 16 was the high number. So that's a pretty good start for, just getting the show going. Once you start doing it for a few weeks, people know that you're going to be coming on at 7, and then, they'll start jumping in from there. But awesome idea, Kaz. Glad to help with it. And those out there, I hope we see y'all next Thursday, 7 p.m. I mean, she's giving away a rod. I mean, come on, you got to come back for that.
Absolutely. And everybody in chat, thanks for coming in and spending time with us. I really appreciate you guys. Everybody have a great night. You'll see me on Pontoon Jody's channel at 10 o'clock. And we'll be fishing tonight. So, but everybody run over to the bait shop and give them some support. And I hope everybody has a wonderful night. Bye, guys.